You are listening to the Nightly News Podcast, the voice of the Knights.
Welcome, everybody, to the Nightly News Podcast. This is Professor Paul Miller, and I am here to talk with some of my favorite people all around campus about one of my favorite events that we have here at Central Penn College each and every year. That's the Business Partner of the Year Breakfast, and that will take place on Thursday, September 10th from 8:30 to 10:30. And, of course, we are here with the fine folks from Career Services. We have, to my left, Steve Hassinger. Steve, it's always such a pleasure to have you on the show.
I always enjoy being on the podcast, Paul.
And you are one of the most prolific podcast guests we've ever had, so I certainly appreciate all of your time that you've spent in here. And, of course, the trivia question that we point out quite frequently. Steve was the first guest on the Nightly News podcast way back on episode number 1. We are now on episode 236.
Wow, that's
so
hard to believe.
I know, right? And also being joined by Kristin Fike. Kristin, you've been on the podcast a number of times in your own right, so we want to take nothing away from you, but, of course, it's always a pleasure to have you as well.
I appreciate it.
And we're also being joined by Nightly News reporter Leo Blocker. Leo, this is not only, I found out, your first time on a podcast, but it's also your first time really ever even listening to a podcast. You said you've never even listened to a podcast before.
I have not.
Well, we're going to fix that. I'm hoping that if nothing else, you at least listen to this podcast, and then maybe that sort of gets you in the foray of listening to podcasts in the future, which is pretty much all I listen to. But I digress. All right, again, we are here talking about the Business Partner of the Year Breakfast. Again, Thursday, September 10th from 8:30 to 10:30. That is in the Conference Center. And, of course, along with this, I will put the link to register, which that is a very important thing. We want to make sure we have enough food for everybody. But, Steve, let's start off with just a quick discussion about the history of the Business Partner of the Year Breakfast. Tell me a little bit more about where this came from and you know why this still continues to be one of the main events that you have as Career Services each and every year.
Yeah, it's hard to believe this is going to be the 22nd year for this event, and it has really changed and evolved over the years. Originally, when we started this, we kind of saw another college was doing an event where they were honoring a business, and we said, hey, we like that idea, and, you know, the business relationships that we build are so important for our students and our alumni and for us for many different reasons, certainly to hire them and offer them internships and so forth. So we really wanted this to be a way for us to honor businesses, but also for our students and our faculty and our staff to be able to network and interact one-on-one with those businesses. And we started this event, we probably had about, I think, 30 people maybe that attended the first one, which was pretty good. You know, I was pretty happy for the first event. But over the years, it has really evolved. It's now a breakfast event. We used to do it over lunch. We now honor Interns of the Year, Internship Site Supervisor of the Year. We added the keynote speaker. We kind of did the town meeting portion early on, but it was much different and not as detailed as it is now. So it's really evolved, and it is my favorite event of the year.
And what I always love about this podcast, Steve, anytime we have you on about the BPOI, is you do such an amazing job describing the menu. So that's one of the key pieces of all of this. So please share with us what we can expect for breakfast when we go.
Well, you know, Kristin is the one who coordinated that with the conference center, so maybe I should let her. But I tell students it's my favorite kind of food if I'm a student, and that's free, right? So they don't have to pay to come, right? Neither does faculty and staff. We do charge businesses $20 to come. But we're going to have a big buffet breakfast. We have scrambled eggs, we have bacon, we have sausage, we have pancakes, we have yogurt, I don't know, breakfast potatoes. Am I missing anything, Kristin? Fruit?
That's about it.
All right.
I love every single time that when I listen back to some of these episodes, every single time I love Steve's description of the breakfast, because I am a breakfast lover.
Oh, me too.
I usually my typical breakfast is a bowl of Cheerios. So it's rare that I indulge in a high caloric breakfast, but the one day that I always make sure that I do is at the BPOI. So I want to just kind of move to Kristin. You know, one of the things that certainly the theme of this is powered by partnership, long-term recruitment. I think it's fair to say, and if it's not, please tell me, that the job market is really challenging right now. And so I'm curious what your thoughts are about changes and nuances in the job market and how students can continue to elevate themselves through networking events like this in order to maybe try different ways of getting work.
Absolutely. Well, now more than ever, internships are incredibly important. You really need that experience and you need those connections that you are earning from the internship to really hit the ground running in your job search. Maybe the company that you're interning with does not have a full-time opening when you finish your internship, but you get, recommendations, you get references, you get connections. So there's no amount of money that you can put on those types of connections to help you in today's job market.
And I got to be honest with you, and I've shared this with Steve before too, but I recall on multiple occasions, I have had students from this event get an internship. So what I love about this event is you don't have assigned seating, but ideally for students, they're going to sit with, a few different business owners, leaders, HR folks, all from around businesses that support Central Penn College. And so it gives you such an amazing opportunity to have a professional setting and make a good impression on these people. Steve, I know in the past, especially, I do want to come to the town hall portion. You have said that you've had people call you after the fact asking you about some folks that participated in the town hall. Tell me a little bit more about some of those experiences that you've had in the past.
Yeah, I love the town hall portion because we will just toss out questions around the theme for the morning. And Kristin will probably be walking around with a cordless microphone, just letting anybody who wants to chime in. I always say the hardest part of the town meeting is getting the first person to speak, and the next hardest part is getting it to end when we need it to end so that we can move on with the rest of the program, because I am a stickler about sticking to the agenda. But it's an opportunity for students, faculty, staff, and employers to learn from each other and to chime in on the question of the morning, the questions of the morning. I've had employers contact me afterward or come up to students afterward and say, I was so impressed with the way you presented yourself and with what you said, and we really want to talk to you.
Fantastic. Leo, I want to bring you in here, and because this is something that you are at least thinking about, I hope, in terms of the job market. Do you kind of follow what's going on with the job market? Like, how is this all equating to you as a business administration student? Are you keeping and paying attention to what's going on with the job market so you can try to elevate your own ability to find a position when you're out of here?
Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on it, and it's definitely scary. It seems like a lot of the jobs anymore have stricter requirements for your qualifications, not just in terms of your education, but your experience. It seems like they value experience almost more than education sometimes, which I feel like makes sense because from all the research I've been doing on the job market to try and stay on top of things, it seems like certain fields have a saturation of like people with degrees but no experience versus, people with experience but without the degree qualification. So,
and I appreciate that you say that, because if there's one thing you know about me, it's that I'm constantly pushing people into getting experience in the field in whatever way they can. I'm going to give you an example. Leo, you've been a wonderful Nightly News member. You're already talking about stepping up within the club and working with Nightly News President Alex Foley on a video project that we're doing. Like, those are the types of things that, while they don't require a ton of extra time, I mean, some, right? It's not like it's going to take you zero time to do this. But those are the types of things that employers want to see. Because even though I think a lot of students might have just a slight misconception, like, yes, these employers do want experience, but that experience can come in any number of ways. I'll give you another example. You were integral to our bingo fundraiser in a variety of capacities, right? So my point is those are the types of things that you can bring up to an employer down the line, that even though it wasn't a school-related function and it was a Nightly News function, that's still you giving back to your community, being a part of something. And like, those are the types of things that I think a lot of times students may not necessarily equate to experience that I think can be very valuable. But you're not wrong about the job market. And I do think that this just goes to show you why not only just getting involved on campus, getting involved with local nonprofit groups, those types of things, on top of networking, all of these things lead to opportunities that come after that. Students who don't want to do those things, those opportunities may not be there because of that. So that I appreciate you bringing that up. I want to come back to Kristin. One of the key parts of this is the intern of the year. And I am so proud. I did ask Kristin if this was okay to say, because I know that it's one of those things where you sort of like it to be a surprise. But Nightly News, former Nightly News Vice President Hannah Pasquarella is actually going to be the intern of the year. And I was so happy that I was able to oversee her internship at WITF. She was a major part of what they were doing over there. She was specifically worked on the Spark podcast, but did have some other roles while she was there. And I will tell you that I can't honestly remember a better final evaluation. And I'm sure you look at those types of things and you know, you want to make sure that you're picking the right person. But Hannah was so moved by this experience, and I'm very, very capable and conscientious student winning this award. Tell me what your thoughts are, not only just about the intern of the year and why you do it, but about Hannah fitting into this particular award.
Sure, absolutely. Hannah just has this quiet confidence about her. You know, she just lights up, you know, in everything that she does, you know, related to this field, and especially her internship experience. So I'm really looking forward to honoring her at the breakfast, you know, kind of getting her outside of her comfort zone, again, because she does have that quiet confidence about her. And really, she just embodies what the award means. It means, you know, intern of the year. That is a student who just went above and beyond in their experience. And that's a student who left an impact, you know, on their internship organization.
One thing about Hannah that I did want to bring up, and I know that we've talked about this before. So the particular internship experience that she got at WITF was less hours than we require. And so Hannah was really frustrated at first because she was offered this position, but she was afraid that because they only allot a certain hour range, that wasn't going to work and that she was going to have to find something else. And I said, look, is this what you want to do? She said, yes. I said, I want you to have this opportunity. She said, well, what about the additional hours? I said, well, let's work together on how we can make this work. And you know what she did? She actually worked with a local food pantry to bridge that hour gap. And that, to me, she came up with that. She went out and made that connection, and she explained to them very clearly what was going on. To me, like, when you send out nomination forms, that's why Hannah stood out here. Of course, everything you said, 100% true. Mm-hmm. Like, I got to work with Hannah for years, and she really, you know, when you first probably met her, she was very reserved.
Yes.
And she broke out of that over the years. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to go to bat for Hannah here, because she was so upset that she didn't think she was going to be able to take advantage of this opportunity. But what did she do? We found a solution. And then she was able to also give back to her community and with an organization, not just because she wanted to fill the hours, with an organization that spoke to her. Yes. And that's why, to me, it was one of those things that I really, really wanted to make sure that she was honored, because it was maybe a more unorthodox internship than many, but it was one that she was able to give back to her community in a variety of ways.
Yes, and she put in the extra work that was needed to make that happen. Again, we nominate students who go above and beyond, and that's what she did.
Awesome. Well, Steve, I want to come back to you about the keynote speaker is Sarah Kennedy. Share with us a little bit more about who Sarah is and why she was selected for this prestigious honor.
So Sarah Kennedy is the Chief Human Resources Officer at Chartwell Law. And in Sarah's bio in the program, you will see that she is also a self-proclaimed HR nerd and unapologetic training geek. And I just love that. So I think people are really going to enjoy hearing from Sarah that morning. And when we came up with the theme, Powered by Partnership and Long-Term Recruitment, you know, we have had the opportunity to create a lot of lasting relationships with individuals and with companies for recruiting over the years. Kristin and I have both been doing this for a long time. And I probably met Sarah 22 years ago, I'm going to say, something like that.
So you're number one of the Business Partner of the Year breakfast.
I mean, probably so, right? So I'm thinking back because I've been here almost 24 years, and I hadn't been here too long. I think Sarah was recruiting for UPS at the time, and she's been at Members First and a couple of other places. But we've maintained that relationship over the years. Long-term recruitment doesn't necessarily mean that, the person is at one place the whole time, like I have been during that whole time, but you build and you maintain that relationship, and you can call them up. And so when I saw this theme, I contacted her. She was actually, I think, in Texas at the time, recruiting attorneys down there for their law firm. But she got back to me and she said she would be honored to do this. So I'm really looking forward to hearing from Sarah. She's very well connected in recruiting and human resources in the Central Pennsylvania area.
So I got to be honest, how you can even fit all of this in 2 hours, I'm not really sure. And that's to your earlier point about why you are such a stickler for the program, because we've got breakfast, we've got the town hall, we have the Internship of the Year, Site Supervisor of the Year, we've got the keynote, and then, of course, the presentation for our Business Partner of the Year. And this year, it is with Fastenal. Kristin, do you want to share with us just some background? I do have some things that I'll add, but I want you to lead here. Tell us a little bit more about why Fastenal was ultimately the organization chosen, and how maybe the process that you go through in terms of deciding who the Business Partner of the Year is in each and every year.
Sure. So Fastenal, they really embody powered by partnership. Our relationship with Fastenal has been that over many, many years, and they are committed to long-term recruitment, specifically recruiting college students, which is how, we started our relationship with them many years ago. So they are fantastic in bringing in students specifically from our business administration and communications programs into their internship program that focuses on operations and sales. And they really build those students through that internship. If you're a hardworking student, this is the place for you. They build those students through the internship experience, and they want those students to stay on, again, long-term recruitment. Fastenal has locations across the country, tons of locations. So they are more than willing to, again, help the students start their career, and they take a look at every student in that experience to determine which area of the business would be the best fit for them. So when we had decided what our theme was going to be this year, they are honestly the first employer that we thought of.
So is that the process that you go through once you land on a theme? You kind of decide which, because look, we work with, I wouldn't even venture a guess how many companies we work with. Probably 50 plus, right? That we are able to place. I mean, that's probably conservative, and there's a lot of organizations that do embody that. Fastenal for sure does. So is that the process that you go through? You come up with a theme first, and then you try to figure out which one embodies that best?
Sometimes it's the other way around. We think of the employer first, and then we decide on the theme. So it really just depends. There's no exact science with it. But Fastenal, they will help us in anything that we need. If we call them up and say, we need help with this, they drop everything and help us. They are part of our employer advisory council. They have been into classrooms doing guest speaking. They have done workshops. If I call them up and say, I need help with this student internship today, again, they will drop everything and they're more than willing to help.
I just want to give just a touch of insight on my own personal experience with Fastenal. So, number one, obviously I've known about Fastenal for a long time. They're very actively involved with Penny's organization, which we are all a very important part of. What's unique about Fastenal, though, is that one of my former students, Anderson Bridwell, he interned with them. He is now thriving with that organization. And this is what I want to come and talk to Leo about here in just 1 second. The number one thing that I personally look for is, what are the chances of employment after internship? Now, that just because maybe there isn't a pathway, like maybe with a lot of nonprofit organizations, that doesn't mean it's not valuable. But for me, if I'm going to offer advice to a student about what internship to take, it almost solely revolves around, what are the chances you're going to get hired here? And not only did Anderson do such a great job with the internship that he was hired on, and that's what I love about Fastenal, is they are actively looking to build from intern all the way up to supervisor. Anderson, I just got off the phone with him last week, and he's already been offered a new position, a supervisory role. He's determining whether that's, going to work out for him in the long run. But in the end, like, I respect Fastenal so much because they want to bring people in and they want to keep them for a long period of time. Beyond that, I've gotten to go and present to their like monthly meeting, and that was super cool. They wanted me to work with their their employees about using LinkedIn to recruit as well, which I was very honored to be a part of that. But Fastenal, of course, I got to meet some of the representatives at Penn Ace this year, and it was just such a great time. They're wonderful people. I so support the company, and not a better organization could be our business partner of the year this year.
Absolutely.
So, Leo, I want to come to you as we move into our final segment here, and I want to give you the opportunity to ask a couple questions, but I'm going to start by asking you a question. You are to the point where you're getting close to internship. You're getting close to really starting to have to make some serious decisions about what your internship looks like. As a student, a very high-performing student, a student with a lot of experience with the nightly news and otherwise, what are the things that you're looking for an internship? Your search is going to get started up here within the next couple months.
Well, I'm really interested in working with nonprofits because that's kind of the trajectory I want my career to take after I leave. Because I'm in business administration, but also marketing and public relations too. And I've worked with nonprofits before in terms of like volunteer work, and I just feel like it's so rewarding. One
of the things that I do want to say about Leo is Leo has worked with an organization very close to my heart, and that's Randy's House of Angels. I also produce their fine podcast, and they are just wonderful folks, and I was so glad. Leo, you actually did that for one of my classes for public relations. That's how you actually got connected with them and worked at the Randy's race, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's how I got started.
And now you're a member of the board. Tell me a little bit more about that.
But yes, I sit on their marketing committee and their communication outreach committee. I don't have too much to offer them. They all have plenty of experience working at this stuff, but...
Here's the thing, though, and then this is really important, and I mean this with all sincerity. You are bringing a different perspective. You are bringing a perspective of somebody who is on the ground floor and, frankly, probably a demographic that they're looking to increase engagement. So, yes, I just want you to understand that you are offering something of value to them. So just keep that in mind. Well, I want to give you the opportunity to ask a question or two to these fine, wonderful people who we're sitting here with about anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be about the Business Partner of the Year breakfast, but maybe just questions that you're kind of thinking as a student who is on the back half of their educational journey and maybe, getting started to looking around for internships. What questions do you have for Steve and Kristin along those lines?
Okay, I'll refrain from asking more details about the menu because hearing that earlier, it was making me hungry. But I guess I'll just ask, what are some of the things that you feel like students overlook in terms of internships? What to take away from that?
So I find sometimes that students just get laser focused on very specific areas and are not open to considering a lot of different opportunities. One of those being paid versus unpaid internships. I understand, that, sometimes you need to be paid, in order to do your internship if you have to leave a part-time job. But I always tell students to keep an open mind on the type of industry you want to intern in, the type of position. Obviously, business is extremely broad. Is it paid or unpaid? So just keep your options open to anything and everything.
And I would say, who are you going to meet during that internship? And not just simply checking off your to-do list each day, but building those relationships. You never know who you're going to meet. It might be somebody from that organization, or it might be somebody that they're working with outside who could offer you that job opportunity when you graduate. So again, the networking is extremely powerful.
And I just want to come right back to that. So you'd said about working in a nonprofit, right? Now, I will be honest, many of those positions are often unpaid. However, you have to understand that the people who work and volunteer in some cases within those organizations are industry leaders. And that just because maybe they're on the board of Randy's House of Angels, they might own a business in the community that might also have opportunities. So that's one of the best things about working for nonprofits is, to Steve's point, who you meet. Even just Nancy Chavez, who's the executive director of Randy's House of Angels, has so many connections in the community. And while maybe she can't offer you a job, if you do well by her, she is going to do well by you and do anything that she possibly could to get you a position. So thank you very much. That's a wonderful question, and I appreciate your guys' insight.
Absolutely.
Well, of course, we are all very, very excited for the Business Partner of the Year breakfast. I can smell the pancakes and bacon now, Steve. It's going to be on Thursday, September 10th from 8:30 to 10:30. I will put the sign-up link along here with it. And, of course, we'll get to, see the Intern of the Year, the keynote speaker, Sarah Kennedy, and, of course, the Business Partner of the Year from Fastenal. And, of course, everybody's favorite, the Town Hall segment that Steve is a remarkable MC.
Yeah, and students, when you register, use a promo code of student so you don't get charged. Faculty and staff can use a promo code of staff so that you don't get charged.
Fantastic. Well, it's been my absolute pleasure to have you on the show today. Of course, Steve, one of the most, and Kristin too, for that matter, two of the most prolific guests in the history of the Nightly News podcast. It's always such a pleasure to have you on, and we will look forward to seeing you on Thursday, September 10th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And of course, Leo, first podcast in the books. Wasn't so hard, was it?
No, it was pretty easy.
Good. Well, certainly there'll be plenty of opportunities for you to be on the show in the future. All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Nightly News Podcast. I want to thank the fine folks from Career Services, Steve Hassinger and Kristin Fike, and, of course, Nightly News reporter Leo Blocker for joining us here today. But we will see you again next time.
Hi, I'm Shauna.
And I'm Denise.
And I'm Adrienne from the Pirate Life Podcast. And you're listening to the Nightly News Podcast.
Arr!
Welcome, everybody, to the Nightly News Podcast. This is Professor Paul Miller, and I am so honored to be joined in the second part of our Knights soccer preview would be Knights soccer head coach Chris Hartman. Chris, welcome back to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
And I recall, didn't you say last year was the first podcast you were ever on?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So now I don't have to ask that because I know you've already been on our show before.
Yeah.
So it's just like now you're a podcast veteran.
Yeah, exactly.
So we can enjoy our time. Also being joined by Nightly News reporter Brandon Drumheller. This is his first podcast. So Brandon, welcome to the show.
Yes, sir. Thank you. What's going on, you guys?
We're going to talk a little bit with Brandon about a really awesome fandom article that he put up earlier this term. Also was a part of the Harrisburg Heat youth camp, so we'll talk about that. But we're going to start off our conversations with Coach Hartman and sort of jumping in the old time machine. And this is back to last November when the Central Penn College Knights were selected for the USCAA Soccer Nationals. So I want to just talk a little bit about, in a general sense, about last season and what it was like to go to nationals, win a game, and put yourself in a position to be very successful in that tournament.
I think looking back last year, we had some key good wins, some rough spots last year. I think in the middle of the season, I know we went down to a Christian Dome and took a hard loss there. And then from there, we had like 5 straight losses or something like that. And that was kind of a really a low point for us. And some team had to look at themselves and be like, hey, where are we at? What can we do? So we rebounded and put some good wins together. And I think there was a game, the date and stuff like that, but it was against Bucks. We went to Bucks. Tough place to play, small field. And we, first half, we went down pretty easy. We were down to like 2-0. And then they scored a goal in the second half. We got a red card. We were down a player. And then pretty much we had a turning point. We ended up tying the game. So it was
down a player.
Down a player.
That's
We tied the game 3-3. And that was kind of like a point in the season where we're like, yeah, well, all right, we can do some stuff. So that was good. Then we ended up hosting the conference championship, lost to Manor. But at that point, I think everybody was kind of like, all right, season's over. And then we get the bid for the 8th seed, and we were like, all right, let's regroup. We got some work to do. And then we went there and knocked off the number 2 seed. So that was a good win. The team was a whole different level that game. And it was just a whole different whole different chemistry. Team was just rolling at that point. And then we went into the semifinal game, got up early against them. But that team was just had a little bit more depth than we did, and they kind of controlled that game from after they scored. So
let me ask you this. So back on, and this is October 28th, at where you had Bucks at home, it was a 1-0 victory. And while, yes, you did fall to Manor 2-0 just a couple of days later, do you think that Bucks game, with that 1-0 win against one of our arch rivals in the USCAA and the ESAC conference, do you think that game helped elevate the spirits of the team, even aside from that ESAC game, to maybe push them through and show how resilient they were for that first round playoff game?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, any win late in the season, you had some at that point. We had some key injuries. I think Greg was hurt. We didn't have him in the midfield. Elvis was just coming back from that point. So being able to put players on certain positions and stuff like that, and be like, hey, we were able to squeak one out. It definitely was a good character building win for us and be able to kind of move forward. So.
And do you think that now that you've gone to nationals 2 years in a row, been successful both years, do you think that maybe that was part of the reason why you got that bid because of the year previous and how well you came, or do you think that there were other factors at play?
Yeah, I believe it is having that previous year's success helped contribute to that, because we are a program that is able to put a product on the field. But I do believe how the players behaved out in Pittsburgh also is a contributing factor. We were gentlemen out there. We didn't do anything crazy or anything like that in the hotel. I think that helped.
Did other people? Is that? I mean,
no, I don't think so. But I think that does contribute to it.
Of course, yes, absolutely. Well,
and I also know that there's other schools like the Penn State schools and stuff like that. They can only send so many schools and things like that. So. Right. That helps, and then there's also the schools that have dual affiliation with NCAA and stuff like that. So that takes some into consideration as well. So,
well, best of luck to you this year. Of course, we'll come back to that. But 2 times in a row, you've got some returning players that are hungry to get back there. So I wish you the best. And of course, we'll talk much more about this season. Brandon, I want to come to you here for a moment. You have been working on a story over the past really term and a half, essentially, about fandom here at Central Penn, and your whole sort of thesis of everything was how important student involvement is in supporting athletics, whether that be going to the games or supporting their teams in pep rallies and things of that nature. Tell me a little bit more, tell us, our listening audience, a little bit more about this article, and of course I'll put it along with the podcast, and what you learned as part of doing this piece.
Of course. So when I wrote this piece, I pretty much just wanted to kind of point out there how important our student body is in building a community for our small college. Walking around and seeing people just wearing, a nightly, or not nightly news, a Central Penn hoodie, with, say, soccer or men's basketball or whatever, I get to stop them and I'll talk to them, have a conversation with them. And I imagine that happens for a lot of other people on campus as well. So it gives them kind of something to talk about, but also it kind of gives them something to do as well. I know for our basketball games, they're completely free. So, if you're already on campus and nearby, you can just pop right over, give you guys something to do, and have, a nice social opportunity.
And all of our sports are free. I just want to make it clear.
No, yeah. But altogether, pretty much, it's really just a great opportunity for you guys to come out and just have a good time and get to know some people that you weren't going to have the opportunity to know. But also, I wanted to point out how, showing up, it isn't just for you. It also benefits our athletes as well, on the court and off the court. Just being in the stands, even if you're not, looking and watching the game, just talking to some peers, it fills the body up, or it fills the stands up. And so for the players, it makes them feel like they're being watched and, being cheered on. So,
and that all of their time that they spend putting into this is for something. Not that it's not in any way, but so I want to just read a quote here. This is from your article, Brandon. Sports fandom can help students find ways to build friendships, express themselves, and strengthen campus culture, all of which gives them a sense of belonging. And so that is one of the things in a school that is focused on our athletic programs and growing those athletic programs. This is one of the best reasons why our students can come here because they are able to go to these sporting events. And even if they're not like a massive sports fan, it allows them to build friendships, to show support to friends and peers. And I think that that's such an important piece. And Brandon, I give you a lot of credit. I believe that was one of your first articles.
Yes, sir.
And I think you did such a nice job on that, and I commend you very much. Coach Hartman, I want to come back to you while we switch gears here really quickly. And I want to talk about something that I just saw pop up on centralpennnights.com. And it's about the men's soccer team giving back at the Everyone Camp back on August the 6th. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and how you got involved?
Yeah, so this is our second year doing it. What happened is, by chance last year, I just saw it being posted that Everyone Camp is coming to Carlisle. So this kind of coincides with me and what I do for a living. So I was like, this is a good opportunity for the players to get out and do something in the community. So Everyone Camp is geared towards people, children that have like intellectual disabilities or any type of physical disability. So they're able to come, participate, and it makes a camp for them to do. So families, essentially mom and dad get a break, and pretty much the players got to do the activities with the kids and stuff like that. So it's a great activity. The founder of it is a father that has a child that has some type of disability, and they are traveling across the country to do it.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
May I share with you a little bit about something? So I have, oh my gosh, I've kind of lost track for how long I've been doing this. I have been the commissioner of the Challenger Senior League, Challenger Baseball Senior League, and I've been doing that. I've been part of that for over a decade, let's just say that.
Right.
And this is 5 years in a row that I've had baseball players from Central Penn come out, and for these individuals, I call them kids, but they're adults.
Yeah,
I work with the adult league because my son is 26 years old. But listen, and I mean this sincerely, and you probably know this because you've been there and you're a part of it. The individuals, it's like they're playing with Major League Baseball players. Do you know what I mean? Like the way that they look up to these individuals. And I remember Kevon and Dalton, now graduates, former members of the Nightly News, they came out, and they were coming out year after year, and the players would come up to me and they would ask when the Central Penn players were coming out. And I mean, you know, there were times that the guys signed autographs, like Cam Smiley came out last year, had a couple guys come out this year too, and it means the world for these individuals to have that opportunity to get to work with, well, at the college level, they're not necessarily professionals.
Right.
It means everything to them. And so did you see those similar types of things in your experiences?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I mean, I think I'm not sure what picture was posted, but there's a picture of one of our players, Anthony. He's just a child on a scooter, pulling him around, and you just see the look in his face is kind of just like, yeah, this is pretty cool. And actually, you see Anthony as well. He's actually smiling, having a good time. So it was pretty cool. So it was just a neat moment for me, just to be able. I was just there just to take it all in and kind of be like, yeah, these guys, they got it. That what they do here and what they do on the soccer field is small compared to what these families have to deal with every day. So.
As somebody with a son with special needs, I can attest.
Yeah.
One thing I did want to ask before we switch gears here, I know Coach Grubeski was on the last podcast, and he always makes it known that the women's soccer team has won the Community Service Award the last 2 or 3 years. Do you guys have a friendly rivalry with one another?
No, not really. I mean, I always want us to be better than we are in that sense. Want us to be more involved in the community than we are. I think our program has never been that great in it, and I just want us to be better, because for me, my job is relies on volunteers for a lot of stuff, and that's something that, like, hey, you guys got to give back. So,
and it's just a great lesson to teach our students in a general sense, and especially because volunteerism is one of the core beliefs and principles here at Central Penn College. And that's another thing that we at the Nightly News, we do our very best. We actually just got done today having lunch with West Shore Connect. We made lunch for everybody and played games, and it was a blast. And even last term, we did a huge fundraiser, biggest fundraiser we've ever done to benefit the Happy Lifestyle. We raised over $2,500.
That's great.
So, again, that's one of our core values here at Central Penn, and I just commend you for instilling that in your players. Brandon, I wanted to come back to you, not necessarily Central Penn specific, but you had a really, really great opportunity, of which, again, you wrote a wonderful article, which I will also post, be volunteering with the Harrisburg Heat Youth Camp.
Yes, sir.
Tell me a little bit about how you got involved with that and what you were doing while you were out at the camp.
Well, when I come here to Central Penn, I came here to get a bachelor's business degree, and then I have a concentration in sports management, mainly because, I would love to work in sports, and, just having a degree, you're going to have a little bit of experience with that. And so I wanted to step out of my comfort zone, and try to do something new by having a youth camp or helping out with a youth camp, with soccer, something I'm not very familiar with. And I just had, a blast experience and having a lot of fun with all the kids, and really just trying to make it fun for them. That way that, they can get engaged and, motivated to keep having fun and being athletic,
What I love about this, though, is the fact that nobody told you to do this.
No.
It wasn't a class assignment. It was two things. Number one, from a volunteerism standpoint, we talked about that with Coach Hartman, right? Like, our students really should be volunteering in the community. It's a great way to build their resume. And, of course, this is something you can put on your resume forever.
Yep.
But you also are looking at, hey, I want to get into this sports industry, so I need to figure out ways that I can build experience while I'm here. The biggest struggle that I see students with is waiting until their internship to start trying to build that experience, and then maybe sometimes struggling to get that internship because they don't have any experience. Brandon, you're still in your, it's weird here because of our accelerated schedule, but you're probably sophomore or you're getting close to that.
Yeah, I'm roughly in my fourth term. Yeah.
Okay, so you still have a little bit of time before internship rolls around. The best thing you can do right now is keep doing the exact things you're doing, right? We're looking forward to getting you involved with our broadcasts, later this year with basketball and baseball. And so I just give you all of the credit in the world for just, without being told, without being prompted, looking for an opportunity, taking an opportunity that was presented to you, writing a story about it. I mean, that's something that should go in your portfolio just as an illustration of not only, hey, I did this, but like, I'm now reflecting upon that and explaining about why it was important to me. So I just want to share with you, like, those are the types of things, Brandon, and I mean this with all sincerity. That's the type of things that set people apart, and why people get jobs that they get is because of things like that. And while, again, you're sitting here saying how fun it was, and I'm glad, but at the end of the day, man, that is the type of stuff that you need to take it to the next level and get these great internships. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, it was a lot of fun, like I said, but really it was trying to prove to me and see where I wanted to do. I don't really know what I want to do in my future, but I know I want to work with sports, and so I'm just trying to say yes.
Trust me, you're further than most.
Yeah,
you're further than most if you have a general idea of what you want to do. Well, Coach, I want to come back and take it the rest of the way looking at the upcoming soccer season. The bottom line is that, there's no question about it that there's high expectations, mostly from you, I'm sure.
Yes,
Back-to-back national championship berths. So let's talk a little bit about the season. I see that you have a few scrimmages lined up here for just after this podcast is released. There's two scrimmages, Eastern and Lancaster Bible College on August 22nd and 28th before the home opener on Wednesday, September 2nd against Kristin. So talk to me a little bit about what your expectations are for this year, maybe some new players coming in, some returning players you're going to rely on.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the schedule, I really ramped it up this year with us. I mean, I added a bunch of NCAA schools. We added... we have UPJ still on the schedule. They're actually coming to us this year. We don't have to go to Pittsburgh. We added 5 towns. We added Lackawanna, which is a Division II school, and then we also added St. Elizabeth. That's actually a schedule change. We were supposed to play another school that actually closed, so we've changed there. So we added a lot of strong schools to our schedule. So I'm challenging the team this year because we want to get back to Pittsburgh.
And strength of schedule does matter.
It does matter, yes.
And we, trust me, we found this out in baseball.
Yeah.
We understand that strength of schedule is crucial in that sort of like a tie-breaking determination.
Yes. Yeah. So we had more teams games that way, but we want to get back to Pittsburgh and challenge them. So, and that's kind of where I'm at. I'm also want to see what we're made of a little bit and break the comfort zone. I think we were too complacent last year, like because we were early on, we were really ranked, and we're kind of like kept watching like what we ranked. And it's like it doesn't matter at the end of the season. We gotta win. So I think that's the different perspective this year. And one of my main goals is actually winning the conference. Losing it last year was tough. It was tough losing it at home. So that's the main goal is that, really. And I think the players that we brought in, returning players that we have, are going to be focused on that and have a major impact. So
before we get to those returning players and new players, I'm seeing just a little bit of a wrinkle here in the schedule, and that is 4 home games in just over the first 2 official weeks of the season.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about that, and are there any big promotions or things that you want to highlight in those first 4 games?
Yeah. So I remember, September 9th, we have, it's called Back to the Island. I think that's the name of it. So it's going to be a little island theme.
Okay.
Working with the athletic department there. They're going to, one thing that we're revamping overall is kind of changing things around. More music playing and stuff like that, especially during warm-ups, during halftime, things like that. So during that day, that game, there's going to be more tropical music and all that stuff.
I love it.
Things like that. So playing in really where we're playing into where we are on the island and stuff like that. So and the September 18th is going to be family night. So that's going to be both for men's and women's game.
And it is a doubleheader.
It is a doubleheader.
Yeah, because when we had Coach Rudy on last time, the schedule wasn't quite finalized yet. So I do want to announce that particular day, Friday, September 18th against Bucks, is a doubleheader, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and is family night.
Yeah. So that's like we're going to invite the families to get some pictures and hang out after games and things like that. So just make it more, especially since it's a Friday night. It's a rare Friday night for us. Usually in the past, it's just been homecoming on Friday nights. So that's going to make it a little bit more special for families to come to that game. And then Saturday, October 10th is multiple. Saturday is multiple things. It's a youth day, and then it's our recruit night as well.
Fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about some of the players here. How about who are some of the returning players that you want to highlight? I want to preface this by saying, Coach, I understand that the players are probably going to be listening very keenly, but you have to understand that we do have a limited time here to go through this. So if Coach does not bring your name up, please do not think badly.
Right. I mean, I think we lost some players last year that were contributors to 3 years of success, and that's something that tough to replace. But I mean, I think this year we're looking at some key returners like we've Anthony, Cody. They're going to be some pieces for us in the midfield and things like that. And you got Mark, who's a workhorse for us there in the midfield as well. Back line, we have to see what we're going to do with the back line. There's some players there that are definitely going to contribute that are from the roster last year as well. So I think this year, bringing players in, we have like Luke, who's going to be filling the role of the keeper. He's a local guy, so we're very excited about him. And then we have forward Jacob, who's coming from the Wilkes-Barre-Scranton area. So there was a lot of talk about him, and we're very excited to see what he can do. Put some goals in the back of the net for us. So I'm very excited.
Any new players? I
was just saying, Jacob and Luke are the new guys, yeah.
So, in a general sense, how do you deal with, so it does look like that you have several incoming players. How, as a coach, because soccer to me seems like one of these sports that truly relies on chemistry. Mm-hmm. How do you build chemistry with new players? To Coach Grubeski's point, only a couple of weeks of practice before you're playing your first game.
Right, and I think what's unique to us is they're already campus from already July 9th.
Right.
So they're already doing stuff together. They're already practicing and getting that chemistry together. They're already hanging out, doing stuff together, and building that stuff. So when we get together next week, it's just helping build more of that chemistry that they already have. What was it? Last Saturday we had our ID clinic, and they're already together joking around, and you could already see that they're already bonding together. So it's just keeping that chemistry going and things like that.
So you would say, in a sense, it's a benefit that we are a year-round institution and people already started because they're getting to know one another prior to those practices.
Yeah. I mean, because like if you look at it like a traditional school, they move in on a Monday. They have their fitness and all that stuff on that Monday. Those first years are kind of like overwhelmed with moving in and everything like that, where they already moved in here. We just have to focus on soccer right now.
Well, Coach, I wish you the absolute best. Of course, listeners, you can always go to centralpennknights.com and click on anything men's soccer related, whether that be the schedule, the roster, and there's a news story about the Everyone Camp I'd love everyone to read. And, of course, you can go to cpcnightlynews.com and check out Brandon's 2 stories, the one on fandom and the one on his experience with the Harrisburg Heat Youth Camp. But, Coach, from everyone at the Nightly News, we wish you well. We wish you well in the ESAC conference. We wish you well to get that bid to the USCAA National Tournament. And let's go Knights. I mean, what else is there to say, right?
Oh, definitely. Go Knights. I'm looking forward to the season, and hopefully we can, have a conversation at the end of the year where we're talking about championships. So.
I would love that.
Yeah.
And, of course, Brandon, first podcast.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you sharing with us, and you continue to just do tremendous work, and really looking forward to working with you with the athletics broadcast moving forward, and just wish you continued success here at Central Penn.
Of course, looking to get more engaged.
All right, well, hey, everyone, that's going to do it for this episode of the Nightly News Podcast. I want to thank Central Penn College Knights men's soccer coach Chris Hartman and Nightly News reporter Brandon Drumheller for joining us today, but that's going to do it for this episode of the Nightly News Podcast. We'll see you again next time.